Does realism in video games actually improve the experience? Growing up playing on the Wii and the PlayStation 3 myself, I remember thinking that those games at the time looked incredibly real. I didn't really feel like anything was missing, but as newer consoles came out, especially during the PlayStation 4 era, games started to look almost cinematic. For example, when I first saw games like Red Redemption 2, everything felt so detailed and lifelike that it almost looked like something straight out of a movie. In fact, my dad said, "What are you watching, Liam?" I told him, "No, I'm playing a game. I'm playing Spider-Man." He almost didn't believe me until I showed him my controller. Most of us have either played video games or at least seen how realistic they've become over time. Graphics, lighting, animation, everything has improved a lot over the years. But this raises an interesting question. Does making games more realistic actually make them better? Today I'm going to explain how realism in video games has evolved, the benefits it brings, and also some of the drawbacks that can affect gameplay and overall enjoyment. To start, video games have come a long way in terms of realism. If we look back at older systems like the Wii or the PlayStation 3, the graphics weren't perfect, but they were good enough for players to feel immersed. As technology improved, especially with consoles like the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, etc., developers began focusing more on making games look as close to real life as possible. This includes things like detailed environments, realistic character movements, advanced lighting, and even motion capture for facial expressions. According to ESA, Entertainment Software Association, advancements in gaming technology have made modern games more immersive than ever before, allowing players to feel more connected to the world they are exploring. So clearly, realism has improved a lot over time, and it has changed the way games look and feel. Now, one of the biggest benefits of realism is immersion. When a game looks realistic, it can make players feel like they are actually inside the game world. This can make stories more emotional and experiences more memorable. For example, in story driven games, realistic graphics and animations can make characters feel more human, which helps players connect with them on a deeper level. Research on video games has shown that immersion and feelings that make you feel like you're part of the game world is a major reason why people enjoy playing. Because of this, realism can enhance storytelling and make certain moments feel more powerful and meaningful. However, even though realism can improve immersion, it doesn't always make a game more fun to play. One major issue is that realism can sometimes slow down gameplay. For example, realistic animations might look good, but they can make controls feel less responsive. Actions can take longer, and that can affect how the game feels moment to moment. Another issue is cost. As games become more realistic, they also become more expensive to develop. This means companies have to invest more time and money into graphics, which can sometimes take attention away from the gameplay design itself. Industry research shows that modern game developers often prioritize realism to meet player expectations, which increases the complexity of making games. You can also see different approaches to this across the gaming industry. Some companies focus heavily on realistic graphics and high performance, while others prioritize gameplay, creativity, or unique art styles instead. For example, many indie game developers create highly successful games without focusing on realism at all, choosing instead to emphasize gameplay mechanics and creative design. In the same way, some larger companies focus more on delivering fun and accessible experiences rather than pushing graphical limits. This shows that realism is just one approach to game design. It is not the only factor that determines whether a game is enjoyable. Overall, while video games have become more realistic than ever, that realism does not always lead to better gameplay experiences. seen how realism has evolved over time, how it can improve immersion and storytelling, but also how it can impact cost, performance, and even the overall fun of the game. At the end of the day, the games people remember the most aren't the most realistic. They're the ones that were the most fun to play.